Hello everyone, welcome to another a video that I haven't really been doing because I've been busy with Days Gone and everything, but I would like to get back into it. And the only reason I played Days Gone and not just played it but recorded it on my channel was to pass time for this, so this game would until I got more information on The Last of Us Part 2. So I'm gonna kind of be getting it back into it. So yeah, and I heard about this news a few days ago, about how Troy Baker is a little bit coming out and talking about his character and everything, talking about Joel and everything, and I thought I'd give my opinion on it, and so. And I found this article that pretty much tells it, and I'm going to read it for you guys, and I'll give my opinion every time we'll go through it. So the first thing we see here is The Last of Us Part 2 is coming, we just don't know when. In fact, developers Naughty Dog have kept their cards relatively close to their chest when it comes to most things about the game's story, characters, and gameplay. In place of concrete information, there's been a lot of fan speculation about what exactly the game and its story will entail. Naturally, Joel, protagonist of the original Last of Us, has featured heavily in many of these theories. However, aside from a short conversation with Ellie in the Last of Us Part 2's second trailer, Joel has been notably absent from all videos and screenshots Naughty Dog have released to promote the game. This has led to one particular fan theory gaining traction in the Last of Us fan community: the idea that Joel could be dead and appearing to Ellie as a figment of her imagination rather than as a real character. Now, this is all nothing new. This is something we've already known. We all know that Naughty Dog's pretty much keeping a lot of information to their chest. They're not really revealing anything. They're not like hardcore telling us pretty much everything about the story or giving us solid evidence of the story. They've kind of given you peeks and they kind of put a bit of a, they kind of opened the curtain up a little bit. They haven't exactly completely just opened it completely. They just kind of have a little bit of cracks and everything. They haven't really given us anything really solid. I think the last solid thing we got was just pretty much last year for the gameplay, as far as I know, or just my opinion. But yeah, also when it says when it was talking about that Joel had been notably absent from all videos and screenshots, yeah, that's something new either. And Joel, the possibility Joel is dead, is only appearing as a kind of a post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD for Ellie, but a hallucination from PTSD. I however do not believe that Joel is dead. I don't believe that. I don't believe Joel is dead. One, because it really would ruin the story, for me at least. It would ruin the story. Maybe he would die probably near the end. But I just can't really see Joel dying right at the beginning or even the middle of it. I can see him dying maybe at the end of it, but no. So yeah, let's move on. Let's look at the next thing it says. There is also speculation that Joel could be alive and present in the game, but that perhaps he might act as the game's villain. While this notion may seem unlikely or even sacrilegious to Joel lovers, a recent interview with Troy Baker, the actor voicing Joel, hints that there may be some validity to this idea. At Manchester Comic-Con, Troy Baker was asked whether Joel could be considered as a villain or a hero, with Baker responding, "I don't think Joel believes he's a hero. If he was to lean anywhere, I think that Joel would consider himself a villain, which is why he can say that he's been on both sides. Like he can say, I'm just a guy trying to get by. I'm not here to save anybody. I'm not here to upset anyone's plans. I'm just trying to live one day at a time." This quote comes at a time when we know Baker has finished no-capping Joel for The Last of Us Part 2, so arguably Joel's role in the sequel is coloring Baker's answer. Okay, I don't necessarily think this is saying that Joel is going to be the antagonist of Part 2. Um, I think it's more in general. It's not talking literally. He's gonna be the villain. I think it's talking. I think it's a generic term. Uh, we're talking about living in a survival world where it's either kill or be killed. You know, you either have to be strong or you're gonna die. You know, you have to be a bad guy. Or you're gonna have to do bad things. Doesn't mean you're a bad person, but he does bad things. Um, Joel probably does not see himself as a hero because of the things he's done. Um, so no, I don't really think Joel is literally the villain, but I think generically, yes, he is. Um, because when we think of a hero, we think of a guy who has a code. He has he's merciful and he's very um, has mercy, has grace, and isn't a killer. And killing is like a last resort, type of thing. Um, but you're living, like I said, you're living in a world of survival, a post zombie apocalypse. So you're dealing with like not only are you dealing with zombies or infected, but you're also dealing with people. And we know anything that people are actually more dangerous than the zombies themselves. Um, Once again, I don't think Joel's the villain. I don't believe Joel's the villain. I really don't believe he is. I believe it generically or in his own mind. He could just say, I'm not a good person. And that's just his way of looking at himself. So my opinion on this is no. I don't think he's the literal villain of The Last of Us Part 2, but I do believe that he's just saying I'm not a good guy. I'm not a person that is merciful. If you get in my way, I'm going to kill you. That's pretty much what he's saying here. So yeah, let's. But then the very, like I said, that what they're saying here is they're pretty much trying to say here that oh, whoops, sorry, guys. I'm looking at the article here, and it's like the people that made the article are pretty much trying to. They actually really believe that, or maybe even coming to the idea of thinking and believing that Joel is the villain of the antagonist of Part 2, and I just don't believe that. So yeah, that's my that's my opinion on him being the villain. So let's go to the next thing. During the first game, Joel is working as a smuggler, hardened by grief and left cynical and cold. His journey to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies restores his humanity, but he still ruthlessly murders and attacks other survivors on the way. The Last of Us Part 2 is set 5 years after the conclusion of the original game, and in that time, a lock can change. But could it have changed so much that Joel is now an antagonistic presence? Well, at the end of the first game, Joel made a huge decision with vast implications and lied to Ellie about it. Could it be possible that Ellie finds out and attempts to rectify the situation, all while Joel tries to stop her from doing so? There is certainly to be a lot of dramatic potential in such a premise, with cat and mouse gameplay revolving around Ellie trying to get away from Joel as he tries to capture her without harming the thing he loves most. This is very interesting. The very last thing he said was the last thing they said was very interesting. But let me go from the first. Let me start from the very top. Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Joel was not just some survivor, but he was actually part of the hunters. They practically are just survival of the fittest. They killed anyone. If you weren't with them, you were against them, man. Just by me playing the game, and just by playing it over and over, and not just playing it over and over, but you know how like you complete the 7 weeks on the multiplayer, and you get to choose what faction you're gonna be on, Fireflies or Hunters. They practically give a description of the faction, and it says they go by DIY tactics and survive of the fittest. And DIY means do it yourself. It's a pretty like a guerrilla warfare type of motivation. You do it yourself type of thing. They're pretty much, like I said, you either are with me or against me. So that's kind of it, and I definitely see that. And Ellie, pretty much filled that black hole in his heart, a veil, like a darkness covering his heart. Because remember, at the beginning of the game, he lost his own daughter on the day of his birthday to a zombie apocalypse, pretty much. Um, and and the reason Sarah died was not necessarily because she was bitten or she was under the threat of being bitten, but people or the military had that idea of sacrifice the few to save the many type of thing. So she practically died because of you know she died because fear, paranoia. You can't deal with something like that. The military couldn't. So yeah, Ellie definitely fulfilled or filled like a heart, like something, a hole in his heart. Definitely. And then they say, but he still ruthlessly murders and attacks other survivors on the way. It sounds like Joel to me, as I played the video as the first game. It seems like Joel had to. Like I said, this world that Joel and Ellie live in, it's a kill or be killed world. You know, and Joel didn't kill everyone he came in contact with. Henry and Sam. Those guys he didn't attack. The only reason that he would attack them because he thought they were hunters. You know, so Joel's not like gonna go around there hitting innocent people, but most likely if he's gonna attack them or he feels threatened by them, I think that's pretty much it. That's what I feel in the first point. And here's the second point. Once again, they saying that it takes 5 years after the original game. Yes, it's part 2. A lot of things a lot of stuff can change in a short amount of time, like 5 years. But could it have changed so much that Joel is not an antagonistic presence? I still don't believe so. No, I don't believe that. Like I said, I don't believe he's the villain. I don't believe he's a literal villain in the Lost is Part 2. I just believe he's generically a villain. Once again, how can you be a good person in this type of life where you can't even trust the people you are looking across the street from? That they just want to kill you and loot you or worse, and take away everything you have, or whatever else they want to do with you. It's a kill or be killed situation. I mean, and it's kind of hard not to be that kind of person because you kind of have to do bad things. One of the ways that I can help you understand this is that people in the military, they go over there to fight a war that's been there for a long time, and they do terrible things. They go over there and they kill people. It's killed or be killed. And when they come back to America, you know what's going to happen? They will be praised for things they had to do over there, and they are not proud of it. So sometimes they don't see themselves as a good person. So that's kind of how you have to understand how Joel is. Joel is not necessarily the bad guy or the villain, the antagonist, but he himself believes the things he has done is antagonistic. That it is a villain. It's what a villain would do. It's a bad guy. So Joel's practically an anti-hero. He's not exactly the good guy, and he's not exactly the bad guy. So yeah, that's my opinion on the second point. And then the third point. At the end of the first game, Joel made a huge decision with the vast implications and lied to Ellie about it. It is obviously saying that pretty much everything Joel said about the Fireflies is true. Everything. That they stopped looking for your cure, that there are more people that are immune, stuff like that. Now, and many people have hated Joel for this, but the thing is that we are all done what Joel did. In his situation, I would never, ever, if I had a daughter and I lost her, and because that would break a person. It does break a person. And then have the same relationship or almost the same relationship, but then to have it taken away from me again. I mean, screw the world. I want to have someone I care about. I couldn't do that. I don't think any of us could do this. If anyone ever did that, that is probably the most selfless thing you can ever do. Not selfish, but selfless. You were willing to sacrifice your own happiness for the sake of the world and for the sake of everyone else. That's a very selfless thing to do. But how can you do something in a world like this where it's rare to find that relationship, you know. So how I just don't see how anyone can ever do that. Um, so that's my opinion here is that Joel wouldn't have done anything we wouldn't. Um, we would have. I would have. At least I would have. I would have done the exact same thing Joel did. I would have lied to her, even though that it may make her angry. But I did it so that she wouldn't. So she wouldn't. So I wouldn't lose her. But that's my view. I know it's very selfish, but that's how I view the third point. Now the fourth point I like. This is a very interesting thing that they were talking about. That Ellie actually is being tracked by Joel and being in a kind of a cat and mouse type of gameplay, where Ellie has to avoid Joel and everything. I think that's a very, very interesting point. Um, it's very interesting, and I would love to see something like that. Um, I've always liked Ellie and Joel and Ellie as together, and as like in that first game. But like I said, it's gonna be and I think it's just gonna be Ellie. It's gonna be all about finding who she is, and not just who she is, but trying to figure out, really trying to figure out her identity. Because like I said, you're living in a world where you don't really have much of an identity. The only identity you really have is survival, which means doing anything anything it takes to survive. So, yeah, this right here, I liked what a lot of this stuff said. The fourth one's very interesting. I would love to see something like that. Do I believe that there's going to be drama in this game? Absolutely. Absolutely. The game's very dramatic. The first game was very dramatic, and they say this is even more darker, and it's about hatred, and when there's hate, there's going to be drama. So, definitely, yeah. But yeah, let's go to the very last thing. In a Newsweek interview with Naughty Dog co-directors I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher your name, but Margano and Anthony Newman, it was confirmed that a lot has changed between the duo and between games. Margano stated, "What excites me about the game is that we're going to get to see how Joel and Ellie's relationship has evolved. It's a complicated relationship after the events of the first game. This could certainly ring true with the idea that Ellie discovered Joel's lie and as a result turned against him. Or maybe another significant event has conspired in the 5-year time gap. We can't yet know for sure, but perhaps more information on the game will be revealed during the upcoming PlayStation experience or during future State of Play conferences. We certainly hope so." Okay, so this is pretty much it. This is something that co-directors of Naughty Dog, of the co-directors of the game of The Last of Us Part 2, they've said that they said right here that let's see. This is what he has excitement. The one of the Kurt has excitement about Joel and Ellie's relationship and how has it evolved. And then he says it's a complicated relationship after the events of the first game. So we now know that it's the choices that Joel made in the first game, at the end of the first game, is going to greatly affect the second game. And that's true, man. When you have someone lie to you, when you lie, you kind of lose so much trust, and you kind of you feel like you have that choice taken away from you. And the worst thing you can ever feel is as if you don't have a choice. It's the worst thing you can feel, is when you don't have a choice or something. So definitely, I do believe definitely it's gonna have some dramatic twist to it. But yeah, guys, this is my kind of my opinion on if Joel is a villain. No, not literally, but generically, and probably in his own mind, yes. And like I said, you kind of have to be a villain in the world that Joel and Ellie are living in. You kind of have to be a villain. You kind of have to be a bad person. You're gonna have to do some terrible things, and to survive and to protect the ones you care about, and that's just something. Once again, and also about the end of the first game. Like like I said, he didn't do anyone any. He did something that pretty much everyone else would do. If it was your mom, your siblings, your wife, your husband, whatever it is, you would do the same thing because that's what love is. Um, but like I said, when you lie to someone, you practically take away their choice. Um, and not only when you take away their choice, but Joel literally grabbed her out of a hospital, killed half, if not all, or sorry, he killed most, if not all, of the Fireflies in that hospital. Um, and then he took her out, and then he lied to her about it. So he practically, yeah. So you can see there's a lot of drama going to be in this game, hatred, and so yeah. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I haven't done a Last of Us video in a while, and I want to get back into it. So yes, just please tell me if you like this video. And also, guys, if I do not upload videos a lot, know that the only reason I may not upload videos a lot is when I don't get much views. If I don't get any views at all, if I get like 1 or 2, yeah, that's good. It means I know someone's watching it. But when I see that no one's watching it, I get discouraged, and I actually start thinking I don't have much motivation to do it. But once again, I really hope that you guys start watching some of the stuff again. I really do. I do miss the kind of the communication and the social communication I have with you guys. I really do miss it. I'm gonna probably start doing live streams again. I will be start doing live streams again. And I hope that you guys can make it. I'll tell you guys when and what time I will be doing it. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys have a very good rest of the day. If you have any if you like this, any of this, the Last of Us content, just please consider subscribing. If you have any questions, comments, anything, just put in the comments and I'll read them as soon as I can. And with all that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day. And I'll see you guys in the future. Alright, I'll see you later.